What we're gonna talk about next is disarming. Yeah, have you heard about disarming a patient, a prospect? We say patient because of one of my companies, Blue Magic Group Clinic. We do hair transplant, plastic surgery, and dental in Istanbul, but it's a client, a prospect. Now, how do I disarm a client, a prospect? Now, there are certain things that you have to work on to make sure that number one, you don't smell like a salesperson, right? Otherwise, you're just gonna get all the guards up of your prospect, and it's gonna be very, very hard during your consultation, your call, your meeting to put those guards down, right? Because people are gonna judge you for the first couple of minutes. They're gonna see whatever they're gonna hear and see, they're gonna judge you based on that, right? So the number one thing that you wanna do when you wanna disarm a prospect is to literally show them that you're here to help. You're not here to pressure. You want to use a good tonality when you talk. You want to use the right amount of pausing when you talk, right? So you got to do some pausing. You can just do a monologue all the time, right? So you have to pay attention also on what you say, right? If I say something like at the beginning of the call and I say, look, David, thank you very much for reaching out. By the way, I believe the reason why we're here today is because you wanted to understand a little bit more about ABC, right? And obviously this is what we've been doing for many years, but now without pressure, I guess you wanted to understand how you can possibly use this service to help you with ABC. Is that right? Perfect. So look, what will be your expectation from today? These are going to be my expectation. And then I go back to the prospect and I might say something like, all right, perfect. Now look, with no pressure at all, I'm going to show you what's possible wherever there is a good fit that we can potentially help you out. Look, by the way, if we are not going to be in a position to help you out, I might guide you through some other option or some other companies out there that might be in a position to help you. But if we can help you, I will tell you exactly how and what sort of investment this is going to be to take you from A to B. Would that be okay for you? At the end of the day, no pressure, no hard feelings. If there is a good chance for us to do business together, then we're gonna take that path. If not, we're gonna stay in touch. So now my guards are down, right? I wanna show a little bit of not interest. Yeah, you don't wanna have a super crazy amount of interest to close a sale. Yeah, because people see it, they smell it, right? And they don't want to do business with you if they see that since the first place, right? Or during your meeting. So you want to make sure that's happening. You want to disarm your prospect at the beginning of your call, in the middle, at the end, right? All the time. Yeah, make sure that the guards, they're not going to go up. Like, look, what I say all the time, guys, is you really want to, look, it's not you seated in front of your prospect, right? Is you seated next to your prospect. Does it make sense? Right? And you're walking together towards the same, in the same direction, towards the same goal, same vision, right? So it's you holding the hand of your prospect and literally guide them through, right? So you want to make sure that in a conversation, you get that sort of vibe, that sort of feeling where we're sitting next to the prospect, not in front of each other. Does it make sense? Because if the prospect will feel that you are there to help, they will be more inclined to do business with you. And if the guards are down, you will close more sales, right? So write this down. Make sure you find a way to disarm your prospect all the time, right? So you can even say something like, one of the questions I use with my guys when I train them in my companies is, look, David, if I see anything concerning today, would you like me to share it with you? Right? If I see anything concerning today, would you like me to share it with you? Simple, right? Who's gonna say no? So now, the moment the prospect will say, yeah, for sure, let me know. Now I have the freedom to challenge the prospect a little bit more. You see, guys, how a conversation with a prospect can change if we use the right vocabulary and if we understand sales and if we understand the psychology behind people, right? It's different conversation. And obviously with different conversation, you can achieve different outcomes. And different outcomes will give you a bigger paycheck, not only, because that's not what you want to follow, it's the people you are helping. And then through that, you can also get a bigger paycheck. Hope that makes sense, right? Now, let's move on. I have a lot of things I want to share with you guys today, right? So I hope you're taking a lot of notes. Now, we said it already even at the beginning of the call. I want you to remember that sales is repetition, right? There will be no good salespeople out there that will be made if they don't continuously learn new things about sales on a daily basis, right? So if you just enter in sales, how quick do you want to become on the top of the board? Because if I'm putting 15 hours a day and there are the average salesperson putting 7-8 hours a day, maybe 3 hours a day, maybe they're working for a shift of 8 hours, but at the end of the day they're working 4 hours. Who do you think is going to get good better? Who do you think is gonna get very good a lot faster, right? So these are the things that you wanna understand. You need to repeat on a daily basis those skills, those trainings that will help you to develop and achieve different outcomes in your calls, in your consultation, right? So don't forget about that, because this is at the end of the day where most of the salespeople literally, they lose track. Right? Keep the excitement, keep the energy, remember the whys, remember why you start the sales, and just keep it on going, right? Now let's move to the next point. Every sales call, remember, this 90% is the closing part. Simple, right? It's only the 10%. So if you've done the 90%, which is what I'm about to tell you now, in the right way, the closing is the easiest part, right? So now, 90% of the time in every sales negotiation, the 90% is divided into 4 pieces, right? The number 1 is value. The prospect has to see the value of what you're selling. If they don't see value, they will never buy. Yeah, even if you're selling something for $20, they will never buy if they don't see value, right? So you don't focus on the product itself. You have to focus on what that product brings, because that's how you create value. And the moment you create value, prospect will buy more. Number 1 is value, right? The number 2, you have to set up the sale, right? I say all the time that a good salesperson is like being a good chess player, right? What does set the sale up mean? Let me give you an example, right? So if I'm a good chess player, what happens when I'm good in chess? I start thinking about what are my next 5 moves, 10 moves, 20 moves, right? I think I heard about probably the number 1 chess player in the world. I think they have like 1,000 moves ahead they're thinking, right? Something crazy. And in sales, it works in the same way. Why? Because if I know in what direction I want to bring this conversation, I will make my moves accordingly, right? I know that if I start by asking you this question, I can potentially take 1, 2, or 3 answers. And once I get the answer, now I can ask you this other question. And that answer will give me another 2. It's like mapping things down, right? And at the end of the day, that's the direction I want to go, right? But I already know 15, 20 questions before. So I'm setting up the sale. This is not manipulation, by the way. This is not like persuasion, manipulation. It's nothing bad. Because as long as I believe in my product and I know my product can help my prospect, right? It's my responsibility to be good enough to show this to the prospect, to show them that that's what you need, right? So plan your moves ahead and map your questions, right? Because you want to arrive at the end of the call where, remember, the closing is 10%. And if you ask the right question, now you get the right information, you've done everything right, which we're going to go through now in a moment, in the 90% of the call, you're going to be closing the sale. It's super simple. Now, framing. You guys know what framing is? Now, I'm giving you an example. Prospect is buying a sales training, $10,000, right? By the way, we don't do sales training here in our companies. I personally coach and in sales and marketing, many people out there from different countries, wherever is online, face-to-face, in our public events that we do once every quarter in the masterminds and so on. So we do a lot of events, we do a lot of stuff, we have a lot of things going on. But what I can tell you is that when you ask a question, coming back to the sales training, right? And you say, look, tell me, David, how long have you been thinking about, getting yourself into sales? That's one way to ask a question, right? Maybe you have it in your script, and this is what I need to be asking, right? But if I say something like, obviously you said that you're very motivated into, changing your life. And you told me that it's been quite some time that you've been looking into getting possibly into sales, right? Then for some reason, something has happened and it has stopped you to go from A to B, right? So tell me a little bit more about what happened there. So framing every question is giving a little bit of insights. And if I frame the question, I also get the prospect to be more inclined to go in the direction where I want him to go. Does it make sense? Any script that I'm gonna give you, don't take the question exactly as is in there. Make sure you frame it all the time a little bit more, because if you frame it in the right way and you ask a longer question, you're gonna get a better answer. So better questions, better answers. This means more information. And the more information you have means that you can play with this information, obviously in the right way, in a nice way, in a positive way, to help the prospect so that you can lead the sale on, right? So remember that. Better questions will lead you into better answers. So frame the question better, right? So solutions, yeah? You wanna make sure, guys, that the prospects see what is the solution you're providing. It has to be super crystal clear, with no confusion. Right? You don't want to go out there with different products. Don't want to go out there with 20 different packages. Like imagine now for a second you go for a restaurant, there is a menu of like 35 pages. You don't even know what to eat anymore. Maybe we were starving 2 minutes ago, but now I don't even know what I have to eat because there's so many options. I'm confused. I don't even want to eat anymore. Yeah? Did that ever happen to you? It happens to me all the time, right? And the same thing is when you come with a solution. So keep it super simple. Make sure that the solution is can understand it in simple terms, right? Because otherwise you're not gonna get the sales moving forward, right? Sometimes I hear some sales calls and at the end of the call I say like, what is this guy even selling? I don't get it, right? So don't be confusing, be crystal clear, focus on your solution, right? So 90% of your sales calls, it's all about value, set up the sale, the framing, the solution, which is also, all of this together is like discovery phase. Does it make sense? So these are the things you want to focus on. And then 10% is ask for the sale, guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy to ask for the sale. A lot of you out there, they are very good to do the 90%, but then when it comes to closing, they don't know how to ask it. They don't know what to say, right? So don't be shy to ask for the sale, because if you've done everything correctly so far, and you're missing the last 10%, you just wasted time, right? You wasted your prospect time, not even your time, your prospect time, okay? Look, guys, next point I want to share with you. This is huge, right? Because I see sales, being a salesperson, like being an actor, right? You gotta be acting a little bit. Does it make sense? So acting doesn't mean be fake or lying, right? A lot of the people think that, but that's not what that means. Acting is you like an actor, right? So show your emotion, choose your posing, great tonality, dress up well, right? You're like in a scene, right? So you wanna look good, you wanna smell good, you wanna bring the right energy into the table. Does it make sense? So if people like you, now listen to this, write this down. If people like you, they will listen to you. If I don't like you, will never listen to you. Does it make sense? So if they like you, they will listen to you. And what happens when they listen to you? They will believe in you. They like you, now they will listen to you. If they listen to you, they can believe you, right? And if they can believe you, what's gonna happen next? They will buy from you, right? So write that down. They like you, listen to you, they will believe you, they will buy from you. So obviously none of this will happen if they don't like you at the beginning. So make sure that people are gonna like you, right? You gotta be a likable person. So there will be a certain skills that you have to develop on the way you walk, on the way you're sitting down, on the way you look in people in the eyes, on the way you shake hands, on the way you talk, on the questions you ask. There will be certain questions you got to develop, right? So what are those things I need to get better at? How am I gonna get better at? How long do I need to get better at? Super simple, keep it simple and go for it.